do from wherever you're watching us from on this day, the 9th of March 2023. Just to remind you that don't be afraid to give up the good for the great. This morning I'm joined by Simba Charles KIAGE. We'll be taking you through the entire morning drift just to give you what is happening across the country and what to expect today. Simba, a very good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you doing, Keitany?
I'm doing great.
Spoke about you being in contention to cover the Azimio story. We thought you'd be out yesterday, but they said they will make an announcement today. So after that, we'll know exactly whether Keitany will be traversing the country to attend the various good bid demonstrations. If there's been a coalition, then announces it today. We're waiting for that.
You know, I was born ready, and I'm ready for the task.
You'll be at the front line, isn't it?
I've decided, you know, once last, was it 2 days ago? You told me I should be on the front line.
Yeah.
But I told you I was a bit unsure.
Yeah.
I've now decided I'll be there.
Front line.
No matter what,
no matter
I'll be there.
Anyway, a couple of things that we're looking at Keitany this morning. You saw the response by former CS Treasury, Keitany.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And you know, is now implicating even the current administration and of course the office of the Deputy President, Simba.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Very interesting. 1.5 billion.
Yeah. So that's like him saying, Nisawa, you might be right, but you too, you were involved in that circus.
We are in this together.
We're in this together. So when you talk bad about us, also, Keitany, I keep on giving you this example between brothers, yeah? So, unakula mkate leo, good?
Yes.
Unaiba, for a better word. All right. Then your younger brother threatens you that your mom is going to be told of what you've done today. But then you remember what your younger brother did some time back. Nasema pia wewe ile siku ulifanya hivi. So ukinisema pia mimi nakusema. Keitany said, well, you've gone out. Na umenisema sawa. Pia mimi nitaambia mom. Nitamwambia. So it's a case of you reporting each other indirectly, man.
But you know what I'm sure of is that for the office of the Deputy President, that is Rigathi Gachagua, from you know how the standard has broken it down from this amount went to this amount went to this. I'm certain that is where his defense will begin. Regardless, though. Yes, but at the end of the day, this is money that was said, it was taken from the public coffers. But my biggest question is, okay, now that we know Rigathi Gachagua's office took 1.59 billion, what about the at least 12.5 billion somewhere there? Where did it go?
Where did it go?
And now, as well, Keitany also says Margaret was never under any duress from anybody.
That's it. He actually came in and said, listen, you are not under duress, tell the truth. And he threatened that some lawyers, that he had collected a couple of lawyers, is a battalion of lawyers, but I don't know the word to use. What do you, it's a collective term. A battery of lawyers, isn't it? To study the submissions that were made by the Controller of Budget, Ms. Margaret Nyakao. And then she said, see, the thing is, I've studied it, and I might proceed to court. So we're saying it's a developing story. So Keitany, the question is going to be, good, you're saying that this money that went to the DP's office was used for A, B, C, D. Does it mean that now we're going to go back to the DP's office and say, Bwana, hizo magari ununua leta hapa, hiyo expense ulifanya for local travel, we need 140 million.
Ngoja, hapo kwa local travel, 140 million.
Bwana.
But this is something we'll come back and talk about soon.
But it's not a surprise, Keitany, because that office, the President's office and the DP's office, they spent 7 billion in 6 months, so not a surprise.
Yeah, definitely. But we'll keep on conversing about this. But before we do that, we'll be, because this is something that has elicited reactions, including former majority leader and the current Cabinet Secretary for Defense, that is one Aden Duale. He's reacted. He wrote a very, very, good thread in regards to the reply by one former CS Keitany. But we'll be talking about that. But for now, we take a short breather. We'll be back with what's making headlines in our bulletin this particular morning. We begin this bulletin this morning with Azimio News, and Azimio coalition leaders have asked the government to lower the cost of living within the shortest time possible. As our reporter Shadrach Kareria reports, the politicians are assured to declare the next move on Thursday after the end of Odinga's 14-day ultimatum.
After the lapse of the Azimio party leader Raila Odinga's 14 days ultimatum to the government concerning the high cost of living.
Within 14 days, we shall lead Kenyans to massive action and to mass action across the country.
Azimio politicians led by Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna gathered at the Chungwa House in Nairobi, demanding the government to lower the cost of living within the shortest time possible.
And therefore, our message is that we are not going to wait, and Kenyans should not wait. We are tired, and we have to take the responsibility of taking care of ourselves as Kenyans.
The politicians once again threatened to mobilize their supporters to a mass action should the government not come up with better plans to lower the cost of living.
What we are saying is, if we as the representatives of the people have been unable to extract a plan from these people, from the so-called government of Kenya Kwanza, we will take our people to Professor Ndumu's office so that he can explain to Kenyans what the plan is in terms of economic recovery. We don't want people to continue threatening to name individuals who have looted Kenyan money. If you have the names, call a press conference like this and tell Sifuna took 10 million. We have sent the details to the DCI and to the EACC, the accountability agencies. Let them do the investigations, because even Kenyans want to know. But we cannot have a government of lamentations. They don't have any plan. Every time they come, they tell us about the previous regime.
The politicians accused President William Ruto of neglecting Kenyans at the bottom of the pyramid who voted him into the office.
We have a shared concern that Kenyans are being lied to and taken round in circles, particularly on the issue of the economy. As electricity prices have continued to soar, David Ndii, the chairperson of Ruto's Council of Economic Advisors, turned around and claimed that the Kenya Kwanza regime never promised Kenyans cheap electricity. Yet, we know countries that have cheaper power than Kenya and do not experience outages. And more importantly, that the resources that they have been spent on useless things like, prayers, interdenominational prayers, setting up offices, useless offices.
This comes with only few hours left before the Azimio Supremo Raila Odinga declares his next move tomorrow on Thursday. Shadrach Kareria, Lookuptv.
On to the ruling party, where the United Democratic Alliance Secretary General Cleophas Malala now dares the Azimio leader Raila Odinga to stage his looming mass action. Malala, in his address, claims Raila Odinga sent minutes to meet President William Ruto to negotiate a handshake.
Wale mandugu wawili, SG amesema handshake, mimi nawaita mandugu wa handshake. Hizo pesa zilitumiwa kuwafikia wao ili waweze kufanya kampeni, na zaidi ya hiyo, hizo pesa zimetumiwa kununua mahindi ambayo imezuiwa katika magala mbalimbali humu nchini na ambayo tutawaambia hivi karibuni, ili kufanya bei ya vyakula iende juu marudufu.
Nimeona wanasumuka na maandamano, na wao wanadanganya wananchi ya kwamba hii serikali ya Kenya Kwanza, hii serikali ya William Ruto lazima iteremshe bei ya chakula. Lakini ile hawataki kuambia wananchi, ama wanafikiria wananchi wa Kenya ni wajinga zaidi. Wamesahau chini ya mwezi 6 hao ndio walikuwa kwa uongozi. Na hiyo mambo yote wanatuambia tulipata na tunajaribu kurekebisha.
Sisi tunataka kusema hivi, DCI, EACC, fungueni mlango wenu haraka, muanze na Ukuru Yatani na hao mandugu wawili Raila Odinga na Uhuru Kenyatta. Watueleze sio hizi peke yake shilingi bilioni 15, bali watueleze zile pesa zingine zilizotajwa katika Pandora Papers ziko nje katika offshore account. Hizo pesa ni mali ya Wakenya, na Wakenya hawezi kufa na njaa tukiona, ilhali ni watu 3 wa 4 wamezuia hizo pesa.
Kenyans should pray for Raila as well, because the guy has lost. He lost the plot. For those who looted those money, you broke the rules and you broke the law. The same law that you broke is the same law that is coming after you.
Kwa hivyo tunataka pia kuwaambia wale ambao ni watu wa kuenda katika hii maandamano. Maandamano tutawaruhusu, mkitaka kufanya kuanzia leo mpaka 2027 mutafanya, mulale kwa lami, msimame kando kando ya barabara, mfanye maandamano, bora yawe ya amani.
Hivi sasa Kenya Kwanza attention yetu iko kwa service delivery. Wakenya wanatuongojea ili tuweze kuwatumikia na kuwahudumia. Lakini wale ambao wamezoea maandamano kwa njia, ambao wamezoea kukulia hiyo, ambao wamezoea kuumiza watoto wa wengine kwa hiyo njia na kupata handshake na kubenefit, wanafikiria serikali ya Kenya Kwanza itawaangalia kwa macho ya huruma. Lakini nataka kuwaambia sisi tukiwa hapa, hiyo hamutaona kwa serikali yetu.
Now, on to matters education, where the Kenya National Union of Teachers is now downplaying the crisis in JSS amid calls by KUPPET to suspend the implementation. Now, the confusion in the junior secondary school depend when the Kenya National Union of Teachers and Kenya Primary Schools Heads Association denied that there was any crisis. Gladys Masharia now tells us more.
The two organizations in a thinly veiled attack accused their counterpart from KUPPET of ulterior motives and peddling rumors. NAT and KEPSHA backed the Presidential Working Party on education reforms, noting that the task force should be supported by stakeholders. In a joint statement in Lake Naivasha Resort, the two unions backed the proposal by task force that the GSS be domiciled in primary schools. On Tuesday, KUPPET warned of a major crisis in GSS due to lack of teachers and infrastructure, noting that the GSS should be hosted in secondary schools instead. But according to NAT Secretary General Collins Oyu, there was a public engagement before it was agreed that GSS be domiciled in primary schools.
We support the Presidential Working Party and their views. You know too well, much as I do, that the Presidential Working Party has not concluded their work. Can we give them time with the necessary support so that they come back and give us the final position that they have? The issue of domiciling junior secondary in secondary schools, I think that is a bit backward because we are already up there and schools are going on. Schools are going on. Nobody should believe that in primary schools, teachers cannot handle the junior secondary.
Oyu went on further, lashing out without mentioning names those calling for the disbandment of the task force and opposed the location of GSS, accusing them of playing to the gallery and being dishonest. He said that all stakeholders were given a chance to air their views in CBC and GSS, adding that those opposed to the proposal had a hidden agenda.
One thing I would like to dispel is somebody going out to perpetrate the information that there is confusion in our primary schools who are hosting junior secondary schools. I want to tell the nation that I'm in touch with all the corners, all the primary schools in this country who are hosting junior secondary. And learning has taken off, not only taking off, learning is taking place normally in the junior secondary schools domiciled in the primary.
The leader challenged the TSC to hasten the process of deploying the teachers so as to address the current shortage. This was echoed by KEPSHA National Chairman Johnson Nzioka, who said that learning of GSS across the country was going on smoothly. He concluded by admitting that there were challenges earlier, but this had been addressed as the newly employed teachers continued to report in schools.
Actually, for those who went through the COVID and those who were affected, we had to advise them because one, we know we have a medical scheme which actually assisted these teachers. And that's why we can say we are happy that now the program, the corridor within the ministry has come back the way it was there before.
Gladys Masharia, Lookuptv.
Now, Dr. Susan Koech has been approved as the new Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Kenya by the National Assembly and the Senate. Now, this is following a nomination by President William Samoei Ruto. After being nominated by President Ruto to become the new Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Susan Koech has been approved for the post. by both the National Assembly and the Senate.
That taking into consideration the findings of the Joint Committee of the National Assembly Departmental Committee of Finance and National Planning and Senate Standing Committee of Finance and Budget in its report on vetting of Dr. Susan Jeptai Koech for approval as Deputy Governor of Central Bank of Kenya laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 7 March 2023, and pursuant to Section 13B1 and 13C1 of the Central Bank of Kenya Act. As many are as of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will as many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it.
Koech appeared before the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Finance and the Senate Standing Committee on Finance before her name was forwarded to the National Assembly and the Senate for approval.
This House today will go in the books of history as having contributed to putting women in leadership and putting influential, qualified, competent women at where it matters, the decision-making table, Mr. Speaker.
Molo MP Kimani Kuria termed Dr. Koech as a leader with a wealth of experience on matters finance, urging her to swing into action with diligence as the position she now holds is the key to the country's economic stability.
The nominee, Honorable Speaker, has worked as a Principal Secretary to the State Department of Wildlife between 2018 and 2019. She was also the Principal Secretary for the State Department of East African Community and also acted as a Principal Secretary for the State Department for Regional Development. Prior to joining public service, Dr. Susan served in the banking sector, rising from the level of just an entry point level at Kenya Commercial Bank, all the way to becoming the regional manager for Kenya Commercial Bank, Mr. Speaker.
Our appointment comes just months before the tenure of current CBK boss Patrick Njoroge comes to an end. Keitany, Lookuptv. Now on to matters legislation, where the National Assembly on Wednesday afternoon continued with the debate on proposals to amend the Constitution to firmly entrench the National Government Constituency Development Fund that has been a bone of contention between the legislators and the court. Now, the members of the Assembly remain convinced that the funds are critical in their role to serve the electorates at the constituency level. Also discussed is the Senate Oversight Fund that will enable senators effectively oversight county governments for prudent utilization of devolved funds.
When we started this on NGCDF, we have had court cases saying that it is not legally constituted. And therefore, it gives us time to look at it again and ensure as parliamentarians that we put this in our constitution so that in the future, this is one of the funds that has helped the Kenyans people all over the country. When you go to our constituencies, you realize that NGCDF has done a lot more than any other fund that has been allocated. And therefore, it will be good for us as members of this House to ensure that we anchor this in our constitution, that our future generation will enjoy the efforts that we put.
Mr. Speaker, as you know, CDF is one of the funds that has developed this country, and therefore it is important that it is put in a way that there will be no more threats of coming from anywhere about the removal of CDF or disbanding CDF.
Mr. Speaker, my heart pains when I see all these busybodies trying to besmirch the good name of NGCDF. Where I come from, Mr. Speaker, the 90% of the projects that have ever been completed have been done by NGCDF. When I became Member of Parliament in 2017, Mr. Speaker, the amount of work I have done as Member of Parliament giving credit to myself, Mr. Speaker, I feel proud that I have done a good job for my people. So, Mr. Speaker, in order to safeguard NGCDF from all the busybodies that have been litigating around, it is our job as members of Parliament to entrench that piece of legislation in the Constitution and make it unreachable to all those litigants. Same applies, Mr. Speaker, to the NGAF, National Government Affirmative Action Fund, as well as, Mr. Speaker, the new fund that we are proposing, the Senate Oversight Fund.
Now, as the world marks International Women's Day, women caucuses took to various podiums to mark the day in special ways. First Lady Rachel Ruto joined women in Langata Women's Prison in marking the day, taking to podium the need to master the various skills they learn while behind bars.
The First Lady Rachel Ruto marked the International Women's Day at Langata Women's Prison, calling on the women behind bars to continue holding on to hope as they focus on learning various skills that will come in handy while they are out of prison.
Let's pick the lessons that we are learning here, that the day the Lord enables us to leave these gates, we can be different people and we can transform our communities even as we go back to the communities. And I believe that that day is coming. I want to encourage you never to lose hope.
Stakeholders in Nairobi did not hesitate to bring to light the struggle in the kitchen as most commodities can hardly be afforded.
Women are going through quite a difficult time because their office, their headquarters in the kitchen, where the women thrive, where the women feel part and parcel of the society, which is the kitchen, is a no-go zone. Why? Because of the escalating cost of basic commodities of the kitchen.
This has led to the launch of the Okoa Jikoni Bill, sponsored by the Public Service Governance Group, that aims to salvage the situation as the women now pay for the cost of 5 commodities, namely cooking oil, cooking gas, maize and wheat flour, rice and sugar, to be zero-rated.
We have just started the process. The process is going to see, the bill is going to see its way through the bicameral parliament, and thereafter we request His Excellency the President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, because I believe that he is one gentleman who is after the success of women.
Elsewhere in Bungoma County, more than 100 female police officers have marked the celebration at Bungoma Referral Hospital by gifting new mothers in the efforts to appreciate the role of women in society.
It has really taken me by surprise, and I'm so grateful because this is not the first time I'm seeing them support celebrations here in Bungoma Referral Hospital.
Why we are here is because of the celebrations that are going on in the entire world. It is International Women's Day, and to celebrate them, my officers chose to come here, donate some sanitary towels and pampers for the kids and soap.
Cecilia Lubanga, Lookuptv.
As the world celebrates International Women's Day, it is a sad and unhappy day for the women in Bungoma County who make a living out of being quarry masons. Now, in these dangerous sites, without fear, these women labor for peanuts, lest poverty and hunger clear their families. Our very own Abigail Shira with more.
As they work their hands out to put food on their table, the sheer determination and hope that their work will attract customers is seen on their faces. This is to say the least that poverty and hunger has reduced them to be quarry masons. As the world celebrates International Women's Day, these women in this hazardous site have nothing to celebrate as the unmerciful rays of the scorching sun remind them of the drought they are fighting.
Wakati wa kusherehekea wanawake, nimeishi miaka 20 kwa ndoa. Sijawahi ona manufaa yote kwa ajili ya kusherehekea wanawake ya ndoa.
The help that the government is giving to women and soft loans have not yet been realized by these women, seeing that they don't even have the know-how to get them.
Sijui kama na apply na mnakani, sina wakati yoyote niko tu hapa kuanzia asubuhi mpaka jioni. Wenye wanachiweza ndio huwa wanapewa asola pande. Sisi hapana.
They feed hand to mouth, and the little they get, that is if they get any at all, they are torn on which need to satisfy first.
Ona chwe vinawaka hivi. Ukitoka hapa paka lazima ukuje hapa. Ndio enda ukule. Wakikuja wapepe kama ni faneti wakupee 200. 200 hiyo mtoto atakana shule kukula kuko mboka sasa mimi njoo vile imeenda. Sasa tutafanyaje?
Na niko na watoto wanataka kukula. Wanataka uniform nini. Sasa ilinipite nifanye hii kazi ndio nipate pesa nitumie kwa hao watoto.
As the work is killing them by the day, they are faced with serious health problems that they are unable to treat due to lack of funds. Now their only cry is for the national government to intervene and save them from this torturous lifestyle.
Ukienda kulala usiku na mchana kichwa inakuuma. Vile umeinama mkongo inauma. Ukiamka unafikiria umepikwa kabisa. Na tena azipui tena unaamkia. Ukimaliza wiki moja unaenda hospitali. Na una pesa, unakufa kama umbwa. Itusaidie sisi watembelee, si watu wa kwari kama sisi wenye hatuwezi watufikie. Kwa sababu wengine hatuwezi tukafika huko.
Abigail Shira, Lookuptv.
The police have started a search for a man who is suspected to have killed his wife in Rescos Estate, Nakuru County, by stabbing her more than 7 times and immediately escaping from the scene. Phoebe Ngombe with the full story.
In Nakuru County, police have started a manhunt for a male suspect who is suspected of killing his wife by stabbing her more than 7 times and later on escaping the scene immediately. Winnie Chepkurui, 41-year-old mother of 3, is believed to have been killed by Amos Njogona at their Rescos Estate house due to arguments that the police are still looking into.
We received a report at about 1:30 that somebody had been murdered. We came to the scene and actually we confirmed there's a lady who was being murdered.
In Machakos County, Eunice, a woman in her mid-50s, is pleading for justice after being gang-raped by a group of men on December 2022. She says that she tried shouting for help on that particular day, but all her efforts were in vain as the men blocked her mouth.
Mguu sasa nikaona sasa vile naendelea na kukaa hii mguu hata hiyo kikombe ilipotokana iko ndani hii mpupa pile inangwarana huko ndani pile nasikianga uchungu nikipinduka njoo siwezi pinduka na lalanga na upande moja ninaona sasa hiyo kikombe inaweza anza kuoza na ifanye mpaka kuoze huko ndani nyama.
In Nyandarua County, the chief officers that had been nominated by Governor Kiare Badilisha have been sworn in today. The governor asked the new chief officers to serve the people with utmost fidelity, stating that they will be instrumental in bringing change and realizing the dreams of the local people.
Today marks a new phase of my government as this new team takes up from where their predecessors left. You are the new entrants into the great team of change drivers who come up to take critical leadership positions in our journey of change and transformation.
Phoebe Wangombe, Lookuptv.
Thank you very much, Phoebe Ngombe, for that particular story. Now we've come to the end of our bulletin this particular morning, and you can engage with us across all our social media platforms at Lookuptv on Twitter, Instagram, and of course Facebook. We're going on a short commercial break, but we'll be back with what's making headlines on the newspapers at this particular morning with Simba Charles Alaja KIAGE. Good morning.
Are you a junior secondary school, a college, a TVET institution, or a university, and you want to advertise your intake? Book now and advertise with us today on both Lookuptv and all our digital platforms. Call us today on 011 0430 158, 011 0430 158, or email us on sales@lookuptv.co.ke.
Je, ni nani yupo kwenye kosa, ambapo ni dereva ama ni mpita njia?
Ni ngumu sana kupata kueleza kama ni driver. Unatukia driver mwenyewe ana overspeed.
Uzuri wake ama ubaya wake haswa husababishwa na wananchi wenyewe.
Ukiambiwa be careful, watu haoni kama ni jambo la maana.
Jambo la maana ni kwamba tuhakikishe kwamba tunafuata sheria.
Kabisa.
Don't be among the numbers.
Do you need a dose of hope? If so, you are in the right place. We think of ourselves around here as hope dealers, delivering truth, power, and inspiration to hearts and minds all over the world. If nothing else has worked for you, why not give the God thing a try? For it's in the presence of God that you'll find everything that you need. Amen.
Kwa shule ilikuwa ni noma. Yeah, getting something to eat bado, especially in my last 2 years ilikuwa ngumu sana. And Nation Media Group, the Energy Radio, nimeenda Ghetto Radio. Yeah, hizo zote. The response was some waliniambia nitume email. I'd like to see many things change, unaona, like the fact that unaweza enda shop uchukue ile kitu yenye unadai, si lazima uangalie kwanza pesa zenye uko nazo kwa mfuko, unaona. Education actually aishi pale after umemaliza, after you get your degree and stuff, it goes on and on.
Thank you very much for staying with us, and if you're joining us, a very good morning to you. This is the Morning Drift on Lookuptv. You can watch us live across all our social media platforms, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and you can as well engage with us on what are your thoughts this particular morning regarding the end of the 14-day ultimatum by Raila Odinga, and what do you think will be the announcement by the Azimio La Umoja coalition leader? Now I'm joined by Simba Charles, the KIAGE for the newspaper review. And Simba, yeah, I want to put you on the spot.
Why? It's not about being a senior bachelorizer.
Nah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, spot it is.
Safe to say I'm your co-host, right?
Yeah.
And I just said I'll be joined by Simba Charles KIAGE. Correct?
Yep.
Now, would you mind telling the viewer what my other name is? Breakfast on me. How well do you know Keitany?
Bruh. Actually, no, listen. I'm gonna say no, listen, no, Dillon, come on, stop. That way, guy, stop, please. Listen, yes. Keitany, I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
One,
mm-hmm.
there's you've got it wrong. You've got mine. Listen. You've got mine wrong. Completely.
Okay, not in terms of the order. Just the names. I've gotten all your names correct, regardless of the order.
No.
Simba Charles Elijah KIAGE.
Mm-mm.
Oh, please.
That's not it.
What's your name? What are your full names then?
I have 5 names.
No.
I'll be showing you my ID shortly after this.
Okay, I know 4. Give me 3 of mine.
Is that?
Just 3.
Is that, if you can't give me 5, then I'll give you 2.
Oh.
50-50.
That is Simba. That is Simba admitting that he doesn't know. Now here we go. Simba.
Come on, Keitany. Guys, can you turn off my camera now? All of a sudden, we look like these are 2 strangers who are working together just because of Keitany. What are we doing?
Now here we go. Simba.
Are we burning our linen outside there?
No, I'll give you time. I'll give you time to do your research.
Keitany, I know your third name.
Tell me.
Your name is Keitany Ian. I've started with your surname, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Your third name starts with Kip.
Of course, definitely starts with Kip.
Yeah.
But finish it.
I know your name. I'm just... What's going to happen here now?
My name is Keitany Ian Kiprop.
Of course I knew what your name is. What are we doing here?
This is it.
What are we doing here? Like, Keitany, you did know that I know your third name?
Let's do this.
Okay.
It's Kiprop.
All
I
right.
just wanted, you to know, just in case you don't know what it means. It means I was born when it was raining. Right now, we do need the rain. I hope that it rains.
But I hope I've proven to you that I know your name.
No, you haven't.
Your name, I've told you, starts with Kip. How would it go
obvious.
wrong? How would I get wrong after that? How would I go wrong after that?
Okay.
Says a man who doesn't know my 5th name. Keitany, what's my 5th name?
Now on the dailies today, on the dailies this particular morning, we do have stories making headlines.
Wow. All right, let's do this. Keitany, let's go to the newspaper review. You're running away from a challenge you started?
I'm not running away. But talking about running, we do know that the 14-day ultimatum for Raila Odinga ended yesterday. And before we talk about what is on the front page of the Daily Nation today, Simba, could we start with the Standard?
Yeah, let's begin with the Standard. You and I looked at this particular headline here today in the morning, Keitany. Now, let's read the figures together. Yes, we have it posted. I would like to say like this. Former CS Ukur Yatani has said, "Bwana si mimi peke yangu bwana. Hiyo pesa tulikula pamoja." If this headline goes by anything. Now, that's what was revealed yesterday by Ukur Yatani, sort of reacting to what budget controller Miss Nyakango revealed about the 59B. Now, this is it. Gachagwa's 1.5 billion bill for office and wife. Kumbe, and wife. Wow. All right, so this is it. Documents from Treasury show 2 days after the Supreme Court upheld their election win, Deputy President asked for money to purchase cars, FIBO, and second ladies' activities. That story has been covered on page 6. This is part of the dossier that is currently going on with Miss Makri Nyakanyo saying, well, majority of the money that was released within that period, well, I was under duress while approving it. It didn't follow all the legalities of approving it. Now, let's go through the figures together. For those who want to know where this money went to, Keitany, 300 million went to motor vehicles, 140 million went to domestic travel, 330 million went to state hospitality. Wow. Bwana hii pesa, Keitany, state hospitality, 330 million.
Budget yako hospitality ni ngapi?
Nimekuwa nikikwambia tuende state house tukunywe chai utaki.
Tutenda.
We would have been part of this.
I'm trying to make a few calls here and there.
Yeah? To be part of this hospitality, one. 330 million. You saw the other day, the DP had hosted his former schoolmates in his office. Hiyo pia inakuwa counted kama state hospitality. Wageni hawezi kuja watoke bila chai.
Wacha ati kutoka bila. Office of the Deputy President.
Wenda aje utoke bila kitu.
What do you mean?
We are laughing, we should not be laughing. Refurbishing of the buildings, 50 million. Operating expenses, Keitany. Listen, operating expenses, 500 million shillings. Whoa. All right. Foreign travel, 40 million. What Gachagua alienda during the first couple days in the office?
I think he has visited Rwanda.
Yeah?
Rwanda.
Yeah, it was Rwanda and then South Africa? No, South Africa was unofficial.
Yes.
Just
only went to Rwanda.
So Rwanda is just here, Keitany. You do know that?
Yes.
Just here.
But you know what I'm interested in is the 140.
40 million.
For local travels.
Domestic travel.
Here in Kenya. 140.
Kumbe ile chopa ina kunyonga mafuta mingi?
Goodness me. 140. But interestingly again, other operational services, 500 million.
500 million, Keitany, what is that?
A lot of money.
That's a lot. That's 500 million shillings.
But you know my concern about this whole saga is that amounts to 1.59 billion. Now the amount that is in debate is 15 billion. 15 billion. Why is there the money? The former CS, that is Ambassador Ukur Yatani, didn't talk about the other money. Where is the other money?
Maybe the other question is, since then this money was illegally procured for, can we go start with the 300 million that was used for those vehicles? We get the vehicles back. Can we get, there's 50 million that was used for purchase of household items and fittings. Can we get those things back? Can we get the 50 million that was used for refurbishing of buildings? And can we get any other part that was decided in these vehicles? 70 million was used for maintenance expenses. But 70, Keitany, 70, listen, you use 300 million to get vehicles, isn't it? But then you use 70 million for maintenance and vehicle expenses. Does that math up?
It's funny because they say maintenance and expenses
for vehicles.
Exactly, for vehicles. So you ask yourself, 70 million. But in regards to what is happening, the money that was sent to Rigath's office, that is 1.59 billion, I'm certain, whether they bought cars or not, that will come to light. They'll shed light on it. But my biggest concern, Simba, is still with the remaining amount of money. And who is telling the truth? Because now it is Nyakango's word against Oku's words, So, and I love it. I love it because now when Oku says this, Nyakango says this, they give us more information. They shed more light on what really happened.
Can we do a bet on live television? Keitany, I'm going to ask you a question. We know our DP. He said we should learn his leadership style, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, this is a bet. How long do you think it's going to take DP Gachagua to respond to this headline right here? How long? Of course, he's going to go to church on Sunday. We know he can talk there, but
listen,
Sunday is a couple of days away.
You want to know when?
Yeah.
Is a microphone away. A microphone away from answering.
So the moment he gets the microphone?
Yes, a microphone away. Let me tell you, if the president will be having anything to launch this particular week, maybe today or tomorrow, we know he's been launching affordable housing programs and all that. We know Gachagua will be there, the deputy president, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua. And I'm telling you, he's a microphone away from answering Keitany. And he'll be ruthless. Wait and see.
There's going to be ruthless, isn't it?
Wait and see. Of course, this is a developing story. We'll continue to follow up on what really, happened in regards to, was this money, taken from public coffers through the right procedure or not? And now that we're talking about 1.5 billion to the deputy president's office, where's the other amount? It is Nyakango's words against Keitany's words. We will be keeping tabs on this particular story, and we'll be trying to dissect and give you the exact figures and where the money went to. Did it disappear in the air? We'll give you all that. Simba, what's the other story?
And we have a couple of minutes before we cross over to the Nation this morning. Let me just give you a snapshot of the stories that have been covered here. There's a big story that it's a developing story actually, that we said we're going to follow up in the newsroom. It's the oil marketers who are now in court of a fuel monopoly deal. Read that story in page 8 and I'll tell you what it is. It's about the government really trying to find new ways of sourcing oil, planning around how to market it so that it's not that expensive. Good. And the fighting for the shilling. That story that has been covered also on page 23 on the Business Standard. But then other than that, it's the big story that we don't need to talk so much about how the cost of living is Azimio's plan then to siege on government offices. That story has been covered on page 4, even as we await the big announcement for Azimio today. Keitany, we can look at the Daily Nation.
Talking about the big announcement by the Azimio La Umoja coalition, the Daily Nation today, the headline says, Raila's D-Day. Now,
what's that?
Yes, Raila's D-Day.
What's that?
It is Raila's D-Day. What do you mean, Simba? It is Raila's D-Day.
Is that?
And they say, yes, Azimio leader Raila Odinga, Azimio leader Raila Odinga's 14-day ultimatum to President William Ruto to open poll servers addressed the high cost of living lapsed yesterday, with the opposition chief threatening mass action and civil disobedience should his demands not be met. The president has called his bluff, saying he won't be intimidated. The question is, who will blink fast? Simba.
Is that what that headline?
Let me begin with this.
Yeah, that headline there.
With the opposition chief threatening mass action and civil disobedience.
That's it.
Ambiguous. You have an issue with Raila's D-Day?
Yeah, the headline.
The headline is okay.
It's not about Raila's Day, is it?
It is about Raila. You know why? Because everybody's waiting to hear what Raila Odinga will be saying today.
That's it.
Everybody.
If you look at it from that perspective.
Yes. When we talk about mass action, this is something that might affect each and every one of us, regardless of where you are, regardless of where you work. It might affect millions and millions of Kenyans. Now, just beneath that, they give points on how Raila plans to execute his anti-Ruto mass action. One is to boycott of select products. Resistance in Parliament is the other one. Removal of Ruto's portraits in office buildings. Now the other one is stage sittings and occupation of public offices. street protests, and nationwide rallies. Of the 6, which one do you think will happen first? Or which one do you really think will have President William Ruto thinking and, maybe discussing, do I need to talk, to these guys? Because as well, we are yet to, verify claims by one Cleophas Malala, and we did this particular story in our bulletin that Raila Odinga and the Azimio leaders tried to reach out to President William Ruto. That is, of course, their word, not ours, unverified, to, have talks. But of the 6, which one do you think will have William Ruto thinking about what to do, whether to engage Raila Odinga or not?
I think it's Keitany, even when you look at this 6, I think it's if indeed the country then decides to join in this narrative about the cost of living. If we decide, Keitany, the shilling, it's at its worst it has ever been against the dollar. The cost of living, if they stick to that, and I like this headline on the Standard here, cost of living, that's it. You had Sifuna speak, the Nairobi senator. If it is the cost of living and Kenyans decide to join in, then, yep, you're asking for more time, so we got to see the plan. And if the plan is not there, like we've seen, Keitany, if we stick to that, then I think it will be forced to. Wanakuja hapa tuongea bwana. Wende waambie Wakenya vile nimepanga.
But some of them, beg your pardon, some of them, including boycott of select product, happened before. Happened in 2017. And Raila ordered his supporters to boycott the likes of Brookside, Safaricom, and it affected businesses very, very much. In fact, some people lost employment, they lost their jobs. But again, this is a story that we're keeping tabs on. Of course, our reporters will be trying to give you what will be happening, and when Raila Odinga will be addressing the country on the way forward, the country or his supporters or whoever will be addressing, we'll be bringing you all that live across all our social media platforms, so do not be left out. Simba, this is something that we've talked about, but just to move from that and address other issues is that you talked about fuel on the Standard. On the Daily Nation, that is a story on page 32, they say electricity prices jump 10% on costly fuel and a weak shilling. Now, from a business perspective, where does it leave us? If the cost of electricity is set to jump by 10%, and we have issues with the fuel as well, where does it leave us?
Here's the thing, Keitany. You see that the cost of energy in the country is actually directly relative to the cost of fuel. You'll understand that majority of Kenyans have to be informed that even the power that will be running in the country right now, among clean energy, maybe 50% is through Kenya Power generators. Hii grid bwana iko na shida na vile saizi kuna kiangazi Kenya, we have to fill up that. Masinga Dam is currently closed, so you'd understand that that particular output has to be matched by generators. Good. So Kenya Power again is consuming a lot of the bills when it comes to oil and then the cost of fuel. So here's the thing. This particular story, and I would like to, since we're talking about the Daily Nation, there's something here that I got to refer to you, Keitany, so we get it into proper perspective. Now, it looks as if there's an issue here about how the new plan then for the government to redirect our sources of fuel has got oil marketers in the country rattled. It's essentially closest competitive bidding system that has been used by oil companies in the country. Like you go for where you think there's cheap oil, and then after that you bring it in, but the government will tell you, good, you bought it at this much, sell it at this much, which is fine. The margins therein are fine. If oil marketers in the country, by the way, who keep on asking for payment because of these subsidies, then say, Buana, we're not gonna get this oil. And we're in trouble, Keitany. It's just a couple of days again before they review this prices. Hopefully, they're not going to shoot up. But when you review prices of fuel, Kenya is an oil-driven economy. When you review those prices, we tend to see it in the next day. Because now, I won't stop my business. I'll go get it. But then, if you increase it by 4 shillings, then that margin, I have to put it back to the consumer. You and I are the people who go to the shop the next day, mkate ilifikanga 60, kakwama hapo. But then, the seller will tell you, well, it's because of the high cost of energy that we're using to transport these things. So it's that. Once we get a beating from the prices of oil in the country, and that's why President William Ruto, who said he's going to do away with all subsidies, is still running a subsidy program for fuel in this country, because he knows very well, Keitany, if they skyrocket, the entire conversation about the cost of living in this country will just be a dream. So he knows. He knows, Keitany. Hopefully we get a plan. Like the opposition keeps saying, we need a plan. Tell us. Niona jana Musalia nauliza government swali. If you listen to Musalia yesterday, he spoke the language of the opposition. We are here to ask Njuguna Ndung'u to give us a plan. How? Keitany, did you find that a bit weird?
It's how can the government question the government?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we expect
a plan.
The government, that includes Musalia Mudavadi. They should be having a closed-door meeting, discuss this issue, and then come out.
Speaking some language.
This and this, 1, 2, 3 are the reasons as to why the shilling is weakening, and we're trying to do this and this to ensure that we get the shilling back to its feet, where it has been. But away from that, Simba. Now, the Public Service Commission, there is a story on the Daily Nation of page 7 of the Daily Nation. Yeah. The PSC concluded the interviews of the 242 nominees for the Chief Administrative Secretary in different ministries. And now, they forwarded the names to President William Ruto. That is now where the headache begins. Yeah. Because you'll only choose 22. They say 10 men and 12 women. But he has a big headache in some of the counties, because if there are only 22 slots, it now means that he cannot even pick 2 from the same county. Yeah. Now, there are counties that he has 2 or more allies, close allies. To begin with, Kirinyaga County. We do know our digital strategist Dennis Etumbi was shortlisted, and so was the former women representative and gubernatorial aspirant Wangui Wangirishi. Yeah. That is one. In, for example, Trans Nzoia County, there's the former governor, Patrick Kayemba, and ex-Kiminini MP, Chris Omalo. Yeah. In Nairobi County, there's Margaret Wanjiru, there's Millicent Tumanga. There are 2 former Starehe MPs, Simon Bugwa and Charles Njagwa Kani. Now, where does this leave President William Ruto? And you should also know that there was the agreement between, the Kenya Kwanza allied political parties. And that includes ANC and Ford Kenya. And those are clause that said ANC and Ford Kenya will get 30%. So 30% of the appointments. So President William Ruto now finds himself in a very tight spot. And sadly, to me, many of them will be left out. Because here in Nairobi, I tend to think now they'll leave out 3 or more. Yeah. Because we have 47 counties, only 22 slots. You have to ensure that the appointments are spread across all the counties, because he has close allies across all the counties. Yeah. So he finds himself in a very tight spot.
It's a tough balancing act.
Definitely. But sadly, time is not on our side. But just to give you what happened in the world of sports yesterday, before we wrap up this particular newspaper review, is that Paris Saint-Germain were bundled out of the UEFA Champions League after being beaten 2-0 away from home by Bayern Munich and an aggregate of 3-0. That makes Bayern Munich getting itself into the quarterfinal as well. AC Milan did qualify to the quarterfinals after a barren draw and an aggregate win of 2-0 against North Londoners with no trophy to their name, Tottenham Hotspurs, 2-0 on aggregate. Don't you forget, Chelsea did qualify after winning 2-1 on aggregate against Borussia Dortmund. And today, Arsenal will be playing against Sporting Lisbon in the Europa League round of 16. And again, Manchester United will be looking to bounce back from the 7-0 defeat against Liverpool when they play Real Betis at home, Old Trafford. Simba.
There's a lot of conversations today. It's World Kidney Disease Day. Let's understand how to protect your kidney. Once we come back, I do have what is a collective word for doctors? Keitany.
Practitioners.
What's that?
Practitioners?
No.
For doctors?
No. There is the collective pronouns, collective nouns. What do we call that? A bench of doctors? Could be. I don't know. My English is completely gone out. I don't know what's there. It's on a bench of doctors. It's a team of doctors. Fantastic.
Marvelous.
It's a team of doctors. Yeah, we need to get it right, bwana. Tuwezi ongea Kisii kwa national station, man. Shida gani? I need to go back to school and study. Anyway, once we come back, I'll be having a team of doctors who will be joining us today so we can talk about how to protect your kidney. I'll be giving you interesting facts. Get out your pens and papers. #LookUpBusiness. Wow, morning drift. Once we come back, I don't know what's going on. Let's talk about.
Husemwa wasanii ni kioo cha jamii. Taaluma yake ya ubunifu wa uchoraji akitumia shanga kuunda picha tajika na za kukodolewa macho kodo. Usanii wa sanaa na msanii Alex Kamanjiri. Kwa uhondo kamili usikose siku ya Jumapili saa 1 kamili na Mifiona Kenga kwenye runinga ya Lookup.